Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Good to Know Shreveport-Bossier. This is a podcast showcasing all the good things happening in our community. My name is Jeff Blindfor. Over here to my right, this is Mr. French Fry, Paul Reeser.
Heavy on the mister.
There you go. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, heavy on the mustard. He's a local businessman, used to own a ton of Sonics. He's a member of the Committee of 100. Now, every podcast we focus on topics and initiatives that have positive impacts on our community. We have new episodes available every other Wednesday, and you can find Good to Know wherever you listen to your podcast. So, Mr. Reeser, one more time, as always, do the special honors on our special guest.
Thanks, Jeff. It's always an honor. It made you in such a good mood. You must have enjoyed your little vacation.
I did. I mean, I'm sorry I forgot to let you know I was going on vacation.
I did okay by myself last week, but I missed you.
Right.
But, I'm glad to have you back. I promise you that.
Well, that's the first time anyone's ever said that to me.
I'm not even going to say I'm surprised. But today, man, a really good one. Really kind of near and dear to my heart, because if you're listening on the podcast, you may not know that I wear glasses. And without my glasses, I can't see a thing. I'm like Velma from Scooby-Doo. I'm feeling around on the ground. But with glasses, I see pretty good. But there are just thousands.
That's the point, yes.
Yeah, I mean, but thousands of people in the area, even with best correction, they're still legally blind. Mm-hmm. Some folks can't see at all. And there's so many challenges in the life that I never even realized were such challenges. Just living day to day, finding work. Oh, yeah. How do you learn how to get around? But I found out a lot of interesting information from today's guest. I'm getting to it, Jeff.
I wondered if there was an introduction anywhere in our future.
So there's an amazing organization here in town, up to date with the newest technologies, how to help people get work. It's the Louisiana Association for the Blind, and today we have the president and CEO, Mr. Brian Patchett. Brian.
Thank you for having me here. This is great.
I didn't forget you were over there. I just wanted people to understand how important this work that you do is.
Wait. First of all, he did forget you were over there.
No, I saw
Just
him.
kidding.
I got the glasses on. But man, you're an awesome guy. I really enjoyed conversating. But tell me a little bit about what you do with the Association for the Blind.
Well, I have a wonderful job. I'm the president and CEO of Louisiana Association for the Blind. And so I get to work with all the things that we do there, including providing direct services to people who are blind, our manufacturing, our great staff. It's a wonderful experience to be the CEO of such a wonderful organization.
So tell us about all the things that go on with that organization.
Well, I always say there's three major things that we do.
Okay.
And so first off, we provide direct services to people who are blind or visually impaired. And that we serve upwards of about 3,000 people throughout our community here.
Wow.
That means if somebody becomes visually impaired or blind, we have a program to help them to adjust to that blindness. We can help them learn how to get around their house, how to get around the community, how to access wonderful technology that will read stuff to you so you can listen to it, or it'll help you to be able to navigate through the community, access your life again, and really be reconnected. So we do that.
And I'm sorry to butt in, as I often do.
No, you're fine.
You'll get used to it.
That grabbed my attention, because something we don't think about a lot of times is you said people become visually impaired.
Yes.
So a person might be going along being fine, and then a disease or an accident or something happen, and they lose their sight. And a lot of people don't know, well, where do I even go? How do I begin to adapt? So one thing that you told me yesterday that was super cool is you said your mission is to help people with visual disabilities become more independent every day.
Every day, yeah.
So why is that such an important statement to you?
Because given all the technology, all the things that we have access to as people who are blind or visually impaired, there's no reason that any of us can't live a completely independent life. And a lot of it is just learning how to come into the community, into your house. And once you start to do that, you realize, hey, I can do most things and still access things, still work, do all the things that I did. A lot of folks will say, oh, I have a visual disability, so now I can't do anything anymore. We help people to be able to say, yeah, you know what, we can still do great things and keep going forward. And
well, you speak from experience, because it's hard to tell walking around with you, but you're legally blind as well, right?
I am. I've been visually impaired since I was 7. It basically contracted a genetic type of a thing called Stargardt's, and so I became legally blind at 7. And over the years, as I get older, my vision's gotten a little bit worse, so it keeps happening. But I had to learn how to make that transition as a kid. How do you go from being a kid that needed to be able to get around, do all the fun things you are, then how do you make that change? And thankfully, there were people at that point that were able to help me make that change over.
Can you tell us about some of the what you talk about, the technology that's available to help out visually impaired folks? Tell us about some.
So you think about your phone. Everybody uses. We're all of a sudden we're connected to our phones, and I use an iPhone, and that iPhone has something called VoiceOver on it. So it will speak everything that's on the screen, everything I touch, all of that. It will do that. I can also use Zoom to enlarge stuff on the screen. I can change the colors or contrast on that. If I was a Braille user, I could output stuff to Braille from that phone. And the same thing's true with our computers or with any devices that we're using. There is accessibility either built in or that we can add to that through our technology center. And so that's one thing. The second thing is also navigation. You think about people who are blind using canes or using a dog to help them get around. But today, with technology, especially with AI, all of a sudden we've got the ability to navigate, either wearing something that has a camera that helps you to see, or even using your phone, and just not only the GPS stuff that we all use to get around, navigate with our cars, but also real time what is in front of you that you could trip on. That's where we're getting with AI. So it's exciting.
So I hate AI, but I think it ought to be scrapped and thrown in the garbage. But now you're telling me about a use for it that is actually really beneficial.
Yeah, it really is.
You actually wear like a VR headset?
Or you could just have something you clip to your glasses or something, or you could use, like I said, even your phone with the camera on your phone. You can do that as well. And it's just because AI in this case is just taking tons of data that it has access to very quickly, being able to help. And so we're seeing it really significant advances, but even just almost on a weekly basis. And I'm like you, I'm a little concerned about what does AI mean, but when I see what that does, that makes sense to me. And I guess
so if a person comes to your facility and they're like, oh, I've got a diagnosis, I'm losing my vision, I can't work an iPhone, I hate AI, like say Jeff really had a problem. Is there some more old-fashioned?
And you're one of them, but go continue.
Is there some more old-fashioned things that you're still using that are helping people get around they don't even think about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's from low tech to high tech, anything.
Yeah.
So somebody might just be losing their sight, and we might say, here's kind of a handheld magnifier you can start out with. Here's a clock that'll talk to you or has larger numbers or larger display on it. So I mean, there's all kinds of things low tech like that you can use, or even electronic or digital magnifiers that aren't very big that you can put over the top of a piece of paper that'll read to you. I really like something called a closed circuit TV. We hear about that kind of technology for a long time, but it gives you the ability just to slide your book or a piece of paper underneath it, and on the screen have it enlarged and just read what's on the screen.
But you're talking about people that aren't totally blind. Right.
I mean, they're really the spectrum. If you're totally blind, then that's different. But still, you can start with low tech, something that talks. That's the first thing. I mean, how many of us are getting used to now having something that speaks to us that we talk to? And
Okay, so there are degrees of blindness, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, is there a definition? Is there you mentioned the spectrum?
Yeah. So legal blindness is easiest way to think of it is your vision 20 over 200, and that is that best corrected. And so there are some folks whose vision is like between 2100 and 2200 who also benefit from what we do, but that's the legal definition is 20 over 200, and then beyond that, how your vision goes and is beyond that. And some folks have anywhere from that to just maybe a little bit of light perception or total blindness. And
Well, your organization, your facilities, it's not just a little office. You've got giant warehouses because you guys are employing folks. I know that's a big problem with people. If you can't see, like, where are you going to work? It can't all be CEOs like you, which to me though is a great.
Because he speaks from experience.
Yeah, I was definitely a blind CEO, but. The opportunities that you provide people for work or helping them find work. So tell me some of the things that you do at your facilities that help the community. Well,
and first thing is we help people just get jobs in the community. So through our rehabilitation center, and we're working on even expanding that. That's part of our fundraising stuff we can talk about later. But we help people get jobs in the community. Second to that, we have the other two parts of what we do besides direct services is we operate 2 base supply stores. We operate a base supply store at Barksdale and at what is now Fort Polk. Fort Johnson, used to be Fort Polk, Fort Johnson. And so we provide the military with everything but guns and bullets, uniforms, everything that they need to be
Nice.
deployed. And so we hire folks that have visual disabilities and those who don't, and that's great within that experience. And then secondly, like you said, we have 2 big warehouses. We cut and distribute over 7,000 tons of copy paper every year. You know, any kind of size, color of those papers, through contracts we have with the federal government and also commercially within our community here. And so that's roughly 75% of the people who are working on those amazing machines that take these big rolls of paper and turn them into copy paper are people who are blind or visually impaired.
That's something you don't even think about getting done, right? That's pretty cool.
It's really great. And then the second thing is, to get back with the military, if you think about skateboard tape, right, and the non-skid stuff, you see it sometimes on stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we custom cut that and do that for the Navy and for the Coast Guard and other military folks. And so you can imagine if you're on a aircraft carrier, all the water that gets onto those boats and how people can slip and so forth, we customize and so they can put those on their ships. And again, roughly 75% of the people in there who are working with those lasers and all those machines are people who are blind or visually impaired.
Those are great. How did you guys get into that? Those are pretty cool. Pretty cool jobs.
It's great. We through something called the Ability One program, we're able to work with the federal government and get contracts with them to do that. That all started back in 1937, and about 10 years after we were organized as a company, as an organization. In 1927.
Do you work with, curious, do you work with like local Congress people and stuff to get that stuff done?
We do. We have great support from our legislative folks, both state and our local elected officials. I was just in Washington, D.C. about 2 weeks ago, meeting with everybody on the Hill there, and very supportive. I appreciate all they're doing.
So can you buy stuff locally for businesses? I know you sell a ton, like you said, to the Air Force and government contracts, but if a local business wanted to buy copy paper or so forth?
They can absolutely go to our website. They can talk to our sales team, and they can get access to that. And so, we are at lablind.com. They can go to there and see our materials that we're selling, and also make an appointment with our salespeople.
All right, so you just stole Paul's thunder, because always at the end he says, "Tell us how to get in touch with you." And
we'll hit it a
we
couple
did it right
times.
in the middle.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
We've got bigger, better stuff toward the end we're saving for the grand finale. But no, I went and checked out your website yesterday, and it was remarkable. It was like going to Office Depot website. You had markers and everything that had to do with office supplies. And so a local person could go on there for their business if they want to support you. And also you get a fair price, right? It's good stuff, fair price, and you're helping out this local community.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested. So I assume blindness hits people at different stages of life.
It does.
All different stages of life. When this happens, is it always a gradual thing, or is it just wham, one day you see, one day you don't?
Right, and that's a great question. So, we just started serving children birth to 3. So you have folks who are born, children who are born with visual disabilities as part of a genetic issue or something, and so we're going to serve those kids. You have people like me who become visually impaired as they get a little bit older as kids, and then that can be a gradual experience throughout their life where they lose sight. People who, like with type 2 diabetes and other things, we hear about that a lot. Well, I'm starting to lose my vision. I'm getting shots in my eyes, and that can be a gradual, or it can be quick. Or sometimes people have an experience, a traumatic experience, where maybe they somehow fall and hit their head, or I hate to say this, but folks who've had gunshot wounds and stuff and lost their vision. So there's all kinds of ways somebody can become visually impaired. But we also know that as we're getting older, our vision starts to change, and sometimes again there's the macular issues that take place. And so
let me point something out here, Paul. Did you notice that before his last answer he said, "That's a great question"? Did you notice that?
I did.
Just wanted to make sure you understood that.
Because so rarely I hear people say that when you ask a question. So it really stood out. But it was a good question, because I can't imagine just the anxiety if a person gets a diagnosis and like I say, when I can't find my glasses, I'm panic stricken, and I can't imagine to find out that you're going to become completely blind. How do you help people with the psychological aspects? Is there a lot of depression, or how do you get people through that?
Yeah, there's depression. That was a great question. Thank you for asking
come
that.
on. Come on. You just sit down on purpose.
He's a smart guy.
No, but it really is, because anytime you go through something traumatic like that, there's gonna be a loss, and you're gonna go through the grieving process. And so we provide counseling services. We have a wonderful partnership with LSUS here, and their counselors are just excellent to work with. And then those of us who already have experienced that are also there to be helpful and say, here's, we might pair them up with someone who just went through this a year ago. So, it seems terrible right now, but here's what I went through and where I'm at now, and that's also very helpful.
And we were talking before we started that I had cataract surgery about a year ago, and you said that's something that you might be doing too, and it might help you.
It might help me a little bit because over the last couple of years, my wife's so funny because she says, I knew that when we got married you were visually impaired, but I didn't realize you were blind because my vision's gotten a lot worse. And I'm like, okay, but I could tell there's kind of like a film over my eyes. I thought, well, it's just part of age and what's going on. And I was at a doctor about a month or so ago, and he said, no, you've got cataracts and you need to go to a doctor and get that done. So I'm starting that process. I'm having my consultation tomorrow, and I'm excited about that.
I will tell you that when I did that, I was, I don't get too worried about most medical things, but that scared me to death when I did that. I just didn't feel like I wanted somebody messing around with my eyes, but it went great. So it was great. So.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm a little nervous, but we'll see. Yeah,
sure, I bet.
Well, Brian, you're so positive. We talked about the mental toll that it takes on a lot of folks. I'm sure the vast majority when they find out they have a problem, but you're so positive and so accomplished. What is it that makes you so positive? I mean, you're funny. I talked to you on the phone yesterday. We had a great time. You come in here today, everybody's just attracted to you because of your energy. What is it that makes you so positive even in a rough situation?
I think about that a lot.
You started to say that was a great question.
That's a great question, Brian.
That is a fair question.
A fair question.
No, first I attribute a lot of that to my parents. They really were great with me as a kid. They let me try anything I wanted to, and that's significant. We had a great doctor who said, told my parents, let him do whatever he wants to, even if he wants to try playing baseball, which I did. And I couldn't really do a very good job of catching. I could hit a little bit, but I ended up playing other sports. But, and that's helped me to just think, there's not anything I can't do, and just to have that attitude. And then, of course, throughout my experience, I've been able to be around lots of positive folks. And my wife and family are great. And I just don't think of myself as being visually impaired most of the time. I just, sometimes if I trip over something, going, my vision's getting worse. But it's just not something that's in my brain going, you got to be careful all the time, you're visually impaired. I just think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And I don't worry about beyond that.
Well, Paul trips over stuff all the time anyway.
I did. I tripped over that cable trying to get it out of your way coming in here. You're like, watch out for that cable.
So yeah, you guide people at all different stages of their disability, I guess, right? So,
cool.
I
know you guys do a lot of things at the community to bring awareness and to raise funds. What are some things that you do yearly, or that you might that to bring to people that they can come and attend or support?
No, I appreciate that question. This is a
pretty good one.
It was a good one.
I didn't really. I thought it really.
No, so we have really at this point 3 fundraisers. We do Braille and Brew, which is an annual fundraiser over at 7th Tap, where we
Braille and Brew.
Braille and Brew. So we combine food and great craft beer, and we have people come in and they sit down. We put a blindfold on them, and they get to taste the food and try to think about, what am I eating without seeing it, or then taste the beer, say, what does this beer taste like? And it's a great ability for us to educate and also to raise a little bit of money.
I thought you were going to say you put them blindfolded to make them feel like, what it would be like to be blind, and I guess so, and
we've
drinking.
Done some of that
but do you
too,
have them walking out?
When they walk out, they're blind.
We certainly do simulations with folks too, and school kids. That's part of that. And then this last year we had our first annual, it's still going on, a gun raffle, 52 guns in 52 weeks, and so
that's awesome. You see Jeff perking up right there.
Well, yeah, that's neat. It's also kind of interesting.
It's interesting. People say blind people and guns. Explain that to me, right? You hear about that.
Yeah.
And so it's very simple. We chose some amazing guns, and we sold almost 1,000 tickets, $100 a piece, and people win every week based on the pick 3 on Fridays, and so that number. And there's a video of me shooting a gun over at Red River Range. I have a device that I put over a scope. It's a camera, and then a screen that goes on the top of that scope, and I can see 100 yards away, and I can be pretty accurate with that. And so that's pretty cool. So
what kind of guns are you raffling off?
Oh, we've got various types of hunting rifles, shotguns, ARs, handguns, various kinds, and just lots of cool guns. And
that is neat.
It's been successful. And And then finally, the thing we're really excited about this year, we're going to do something called the Eyeball. This is going to be on the 25th of October. It's going to be at the Horseshoe. It's going to be a high-end Halloween party, costumes, everything. It is going to be so much fun at the Eyeball, and it's going to, I think we're going to have like dueling DJs and everything, and so I love Halloween. This will be a great time. Yeah.
I bet you're going to get a huge turnout for that. Huh?
We hope so. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Very creative. Can people find all that on at lablind.com?
lablind.com, exactly.
Okay. And can they register to win
if you take your glasses
AR-15s?
off, Paul,
They can.
you
There's
be allowed
still,
to go.
and guess what? We're halfway through the year, so you can still have a chance to win a gun, and you can still, there's still a few spots left.
So, well, I'm interested in this gun stuff.
All right.
So you talked about the screen and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, is that on every gun that you raffle or sell? Or
Oh no, because it's people are it's good. People are buying.
That's got to be expensive.
Yeah,
too,
if
right?
anybody who's blind is wants to use a gun, we have a couple of ways we can adapt guns to be successful, and you would be amazed at how many folks in this community already hunt that are blind or visually
Really?
impaired using various devices, either wearables or using an adapted scope of some type. And so it's something that's very doable, and again, I've been shooting since I was a kid, and I like to fish, all those things. So I love being out in the
You
woods.
do everything, don't you?
That's
Hey,
right,
that's
to do as
awesome.
much as I can. Yeah.
That is
awesome.
fantastic. So I'm just, is any of this? I know I'm being really stupid here, but you talked about the scopes and screens. Any of it done by like sonar or something like that?
Oh,
not by
that's a good question.
It is.
You're not just making that up.
That's
I
kind of
like that.
that's kind of a silly question. No, I'm joking. No, it's really so it's just a matter of being creative. What do you do? And you think about, we also interact with veterans. A lot of folks who come back, and have maybe lost some of their sight. And so there's a couple different things we use. Not so much sonar. I never would tell you with that, but you can also
Well, I said
use some
that
type
was a
of
dumb question,
right,
so.
some type of laser scope where somebody could watch and say, okay, you're right where you need to be, or someone can kind of help. And someone can also use like their phone or their device and look at where that person's looking at through their scope to help. So it's good to hunt. You should hunt with somebody if you're blind or visually impaired. It's a really good idea. Or you can use a really high tech
Paul
screen.
right in front of you. That's where I.
That's right.
So, but yeah, there's lots of ways to do that, and we've just been, I've been just surprised to see how many people are really still participating. And
That is cool.
but like you said, this is something that people don't think about. They go, oh yeah, I guess you can still
No.
do that. Yeah.
No, that's
Well,
awesome.
And like I say, so many people are participating because of opportunities that you show them. But what about a lot of folks that they don't know this opportunity is out there, or they I think a lot of people just kind of drop out of life when they run into this situation. They either don't graduate. You tell me a lot of people don't graduate high school. They don't try to find a job. They don't know these things are out there. So what would you tell a person? When do they seek you out, as a parent or a person?
I would say as soon as possible. As soon as either you or someone you know is visually impaired or blind, that happens, please come to us. Talk to us. We're running lots of advertising, lots of billboards and things right now. Certainly, we have a great PR firm, Romp and Pugh. They're wonderful, and we're just trying to get the word out all through this region, just because I want people to know this. Look, oh, there's a place we can go to, and this starts to answer some of our questions.
You say you have like 3,000 members? Is that what you said you had?
About 3,000 people we serve every year. Yeah.
And I would imagine if you serve 3,000, there's probably many more that are
A lot
not
more.
taking
A
advantage
lot more.
of your
Yeah.
Well,
services.
what does the future hold for L.A. Blind?
Well, I think first off, they're serving more people, and that will keep growing. The things we do in the schools, early intervention, birth to 3, and also more job stuff in the community, and more growth as far as our manufacturing. One of the things that we often hear about is that manufacturing is really struggling in the United States, and we have a wonderful manufacturing team. So we're always looking for new things we can build, manufacture here in Louisiana, here in the United States, to really maintain that kind of ability.
Yeah, but most important is the eyeball.
The
That's coming
eyeball.
up.
The eyeball coming up, and register for guns,
Yep.
and go to the brew.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
Braille and brew.
Braille and brew.
Get it
Yeah.
straight.
Braille and thank you very much.
Speaking of Braille, how hard is that to learn?
It's like anything else, learning any other language. You learn it by repetition and by using it. And
It's like just learning a whole new language. Huh?
It is, and learning to be tactile as opposed to not being tactile. So yeah, I mean, I think about when I learned a language years ago, at first you're just overwhelmed. And how do you learn this language? And then after you are into it for a couple of years and you spend time speaking it a little bit, it's like, oh, I could have never done this a year ago. And so it's the same kind of thing.
That's right, because you speak Braille and you speak English and Russian as well, right?
I do speak a little bit of Russian.
Holy cow, this guy is way more accomplished than I am. Congratulations. And much more accomplished than Paul.
That's why he's a guest and we just sit here.
That's right. Okay, we got like a minute left. What message would you like to leave to the folks listening to this podcast?
I would say that, again, anyone you know, anyone you come in contact with who has a vision issue, please contact us. We can help. Louisiana Association for the Blind, my personal experience, our amazing team we have there, please contact us as soon as possible and we can help. And we can be there to help not only the person who's losing their vision or is born with vision loss, but also family members to be able to help adjust as well to that.
Is there financial assistance for folks that maybe they're just afraid they don't have the money to take care of this?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That is a really good question, actually. Yes, look at that. There is.
This is our final episode, folks.
We've been very blessed through fundraising and through some donations over the years that have allowed us to have some funds that are there to help people who are not able to do that. And we can also connect them with federal and state agencies as well.
All right. And one more time, if folks want to get in contact with you, how do they do it?
L.A.blind.com. That is a great place to go to. L.A.blind.com.
All right, L.A.blind.com. I love this episode. This is fantastic.
I told you would.
Yeah. Well, rarely do I believe you, but maybe I'll start more in the future.
Come on, you need to go on vacation.
Brian. We
more
appreciate
often.
you being with us.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, for Paul and Brian, I'm Jeff. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. You can check out this podcast, Good to Know Shreveport-Bossier, wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for today. Have a good one, everybody.